Mission Impossible. So there's a new Mission Impossible movie come out in July, and to be honest, I will be honest, I've never seen all the Mission Impossible movies. I've seen a few of them. I saw Ghost Protocol one time, and I've seen Fallout, and that's about it. I watched Ghost Protocol because I know that sounds weird. I watched Ghost Protocol because it was a Brad Bird movie. He directed Iron Giant, Incredibles, things like that. Really love Brad Bird, right? So I've seen that one, and then I watched Fallout because it was the most recent one, and yeah. But for the most part, I've never been crazy about the Mission Impossible movies. Um, in terms of like, I watched all of them, been a huge fan or anything. No, this was gonna be my first time watching them and talking about them, and time for the new one, which. So yeah, every Tuesday you'll get a review for a Mission Impossible movie, starting with Mission Impossible. Um, this movie, this whole franchise is based on an old TV show, and I'm not really gonna compare it at all to the TV show, because at the end of the day, I've never watched the TV show. Not that I have zero interest in doing so; it's just never happened. So why would I compare it? I have no knowledge. Um, so I don't know how accurate this is to the TV show. I do know it's very 60s and kind of an older, goofier show. That the director of this movie, Brian De Palma, when adapting it, made a lot of creative choices in this movie to set it apart, while staying true to some of the spirit of that show, which you can kind of feel here because the way this movie is directed does feel like some kind of spy thriller from the 60s. It's a lot more serious too than you would expect, which I think I don't know how much that has to do with Brian De Palma's directing here, or the fact that Tom Cruise at this point was a dramatic actor, and back in the late 80s, one of his first roles, it might have been his first, I'm not really sure, Risky Business, right? Someone can correct me about that if I'm wrong, but yeah, he's in Risky Business. Not a movie I care about a whole lot, but yeah, it's a decent movie, right? But late in the 90s, he was in movies like The Firm, Vanilla Sky, or was Vanilla Sky the 80s or 90s? I forget. Whatever, but A Few Good Men, things like that. And so he hadn't really proved himself as an action hero star. And in this movie, he did a lot of his own stunts, proved himself, and he is now what we know him today. But I think the fact that this film has the least amount of action is not only because it's the first one and it was the 90s and now we can do a lot more than we did even back then, but also like it's just the fact that this is more of a dramatic noir thriller type spy movie. It's funny, sometimes Mission Impossible gets compared to James Bond, but this really isn't a James Bond movie. They have very different tones. They're spy movies, but they're not really comparable at all. I'm just saying. It's kind of like when people compare Star Trek and Star Wars. You're kind of stupid if you do that, but I'm just saying, so. But I would say this one definitely. I only bring up the James Bond Mission Impossible comparisons. I say this one feels the most like a Bond film, though there's a darker edge to it. And a lot of James Bond movies, even the best ones, he very few times actually feels in danger. These movies, Tom Cruise actually, at least this first one, he feels in danger. Things happen to people he loves in this movie, or at least cares about, and it's it's kind of interesting. And I actually really enjoyed the thriller type vibe to it. I love the direction here. I appreciate them trying to bring its own style and flair to it. It's better than I expected to be. When I turned on this movie, I kind of just expected kind of a 90s cheese type movie. But I actually got something a little bit better than that, and I really appreciate that about this movie. And honestly, makes me actually excited to watch the rest of them. Though I think it's 2 or 3. I forget which one's directed by John Woo, but whatever that one was, I have not heard great things about that one, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm just saying, these are fun movies. I'm excited to watch them for the first time and really get into them. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, like, and subscribe.